In as much say we not go really dey chase Western validation too much and all those kind of things, but we still need to talk about it because this is Grammy and one of the most respected international music awards platform. That is something I got to understand. According to a report right now, we got something interesting. Submission for the 2026 Grammy are now closed with nominations set to be announced on November 7, 2025, ahead of 68 Grammy Awards scheduled for February 1st, 2026. That is what we are really getting right now because this year, this time around, that is when they close them so that they will begin sort, and then maybe towards November they will now start the announcement of who and who they nominate for different categories. Ever since now, a lot of people they say, hope our faith, they really, really, really submit for this Grammy. So now a lot of people are looking at the lives of Burna, the lives of Davido, the lives of Wizkid, the lives of Omale. Make them go submit to. Charlie Poppy, make you try submit because you got a recognition from B-Boss. I think you got to try and submit. And also we got the lives of Thames, Irasta. Yes. Sure, Irasta may actually get a Grammy. That is something a lot of people are feeling because it was an interesting year for Irasta in 2025. And also, a person of Davido may get a Grammy. That is my own opinion, honestly. I'm just like giving my own honest opinion. But a lot of people get their own, opinion about this. And I feel that the likes of Wizkid, it will be slimmer a bit for Wizkid getting a Grammy Award now with his last album, Morayo. That is something I'm feeling. But a person of Burna Boy may, actually get nominated, but winning, I think, is going to be so slimmer, for Burna Boy because I expected Burna Boy to do a better album than his previous. No sign of weakness when you compare that album to the previous album of Burna Boy or the previous albums of Burna Boy. You go understand, say, Burna Boy no really getting right this time around. Though he has some fantastic songs out there and the rest, but not really gel meet up to with the expectation where people they really they expect Burna Boy make he actually do. Now, some people are saying, hope say our faith really, really submits for this Grammy. And then people are looking at the lives of, Wizkid to submitting. But people are looking at, Rema getting a nomination. But do you think Rema will get a nomination? I want you to put your own comment in the comment section. But I feel that a person of Davido may get a nomination, and a person of Irasta will get a nomination. That is something I feel because these two people, they're really hot. They're really hot. That is something I feel about this whole thing. So, just to talk about it, we are not saying that our artists should, get head on chasing Western validation because those things they be like distraction in most cases. That is something I kind of understand because when you talk about Afrobeat, we got legends like Two-Face Idibia, actually made impact in Afrobeat. But the lies of Fela, a lot of people will say Afrobeats without S, that is for Fela, but with S came from this. But whether you like it or not, Fela actually laid a solid foundation for this artist. So that is something we got to respect. And Fela should be respected for that. Fela should be honored for that. That is something I feel about this whole thing. But when you talk about the present Afrobeat, a person of Two-Face Idibia is a king in that. Because he was recognized by Billboard, staffs. They actually listed African Queen by Two-Face as the greatest Afrobeat of all time. in 2025. That is actually massive. And then a lot of people were expecting the likes of Tony Tetwila, being on that list, that 50 top 50 list. Tony Tetwila is supposed to be there. I expected something from Tony Tetwila. I expected a person, Tony Tetwila should be there with my car, and a person of Baba Frayo should have been there with the goody pools, the goody deck. Because when you look at it, those songs actually influenced what we are really getting right now. And a lot of people said, if you can make such lists, you made such lists without Jaga Jaga on this, without Idris Jaga Jaga. That means you actually got it twisted. That is what a lot of people are really talking about right now. And it's really out there. And the likes of J1 said, ha, but I not put my name for this list too. So why not go call them, these kind of things. But I expected Jaga Jaga by Idris Abdul Karim. I expected Baba Frayo, that is the Gode Post. I expected My Car by Tony Tetwila to be on that particular list. I expected Olu Maintain, with Yahoo Zay to be on that particular list, because these are some of the songs that actually, created a kind of influence that influenced what we are really listening to now. That is something I feel about this whole thing, because when you check back in time, you should be making reference to Yauze, you should be making reference to Baba Frayo that go to post, Jaga Jaga by Idris Abdul Karim, My Car by Tony Tetwila. You should be making reference to all those songs. Even African China, is supposed to be like on that list. If we should be honest enough, even African China, because when I saw that list, it was mainly like, if you talk about all time, it was mainly those people like 4 years ago down the line. That is really, really short sighted. That is something I feel about that. But a lot of people did agree with my own opinion that the lives of Tony Tetwila, with My Car, the likes of Olumentin, the likes of Idris Jaga Jaga is supposed to be there, the likes of Baba Frayo, is supposed to be there, and even like, maybe you put in Daddy Shoki is supposed to be there on that list, because they did influence the culture, and the likes of African China, did a lot of influencing on the culture. That is something I got to really understand about all of this. But they have their own opinion based on this. They may tell you that most of those songs were not digitally curated. That is something, or that is why, all those things. So that is why I said, let us stop, chasing Western validation, because we got a lot to actually offer as a nation, a music nation, just like, big Nigeria and Africa. That is something I feel about all of this. So, what is your own take about this? And who do you want to be on Grammy nominations? I want you to put them in the list, in the comment section, so that we can get to understand it better. Before I jump off, I want you guys to consider subscribing if you did watch me on YouTube and any other platforms. And I love you guys. Keep supporting. You can share my videos across other social media platforms, so that others will get to connect with us better. I love you guys. Keep supporting Afrobeat blog across social media platforms.